Hi guys, it's Jamie here and we're going to do another MS Scrapbusters challenge. This time it's called Cameo Clusters. I've only very briefly looked at the video because I knew I was going to do one of her challenges and type this up in advance. So I've recently bought a vintage typewriter which cost me 20 UK pounds, about under 30 US dollars. And then all I've done is go to the thesaurus, look up lots and lots of words to do with travel, type them up on one piece of coffee stained paper. Obviously you could then scan this in to your computer and then you've always got it to print up. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and create some labels from this. So this is not really part of the challenge, although I will make it part of my version of it, which is to create some little labels that I am simply going to ink stamp and put around these words. The thing I'm using as my base for my Cameo clusters, by the way, is this, which I picked up in a second-hand shop, which was originally 15 die-cut oval shapes. I've inked around some of those edges, not all of them. My middle daughter wants a travel journal. Going to just find, now it doesn't matter if some words are not inside the little print, because the idea is to make it junk-like. So I'm just going to use different ones of these stamps across these words. I've even done some typing errors, not deliberately, it just happened. It's been a long time since I used an old-fashioned typewriter. Probably, because these words are black, I probably should be using a black ink pad. Looking at that, I think black ink pad might work better. I mean, obviously, although this isn't scrap, to me it is, because it's pretty handmade. It's not using something I've paid for, like a digital download or an art pad or something like that. Yeah, I think the black looks a bit better actually. I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to cut around that properly. I'm going to have to probably leave an edge, because that would be a bit too much fussy cutting for my taste. I'm getting ink everywhere, but that's okay. It's just going to add to the charm. While I'm doing this, please do like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to help promote this video. The more comments, likes, subscriptions it gets, the more YouTube pushes it out to an audience. This is a new channel, don't get many views. Be awesome to start to get a little help from YouTube. If you are enjoying any of my videos, and there are lots of playlists, and I do list in my description all the people who I follow, who inspire me, any challenges I do, you'll find the links to their channels. Right, what I'm going to do, because obviously you can see what I'm doing now, is I'm going to go off camera and fill up this page. I've put a few stamps on. One actually didn't hit anything because I wasn't really concentrating. And then I think the best thing to do is to roughly cut them out. Obviously you could just go through and cut some of these single words. I didn't really leave spaces for that because I always intended to stamp over them and make fake labels. All I'm going to do is pretty roughly just cut round where the stamp is, ink round these edges. It gives it a bit more depth, makes it stand out against anything we're going to put it on. Hopefully covers up my shoddy cutting a little bit, or even if it actually highlights my shoddy cutting, which it seems to be doing, it's fine. You could use some fancy scissors for cutting the labels out. Let's have a go at that, see if that makes a difference. See if using fancy scissors gives it an edge in not having to be quite so accurate. I always find it quite hard to cut with these, but I think in a way it saves you having to aim, well, I don't even try, but having to aim for perfection. I think I prefer that to that, because obviously it's making my cutting look a bit more reasonable. I'm going to continue now and just cut out the rest of the labels, probably using the one pair of fancy scissors I've got. If you've got several pairs, then obviously you will get different looks around each little stamped label. When Melina did this challenge, she had some journaling cards. I'm not sure what hers were from, and she then collaged and started to create the clusters on top of the journaling cards, what I'm going to do for speed is I'm going to stick some book pages to cover these rather than gesso them and then collage. Once the book pages are on, I can then collage from the scrap box, which has built up with some cut-offs from the labels I've just done, and create the clusters on top of that. So it's quite a staged process, but I think it's going to look really, really nice, and you'll end up with some very nice journaling cards. You don't have to use the clusters on journaling cards. You can use them directly onto the pages as decoration, onto envelopes, onto pockets. Entirely up to you. I've been waiting on a delivery from Amazon that still hasn't arrived, which would have a new glue stick in it, because to do this would be quicker and easier without using the wetter type of glue, which is this PVA white glue, which tends to soak things a little bit. Just push that down a little bit. And then what I will do is, even though it's still wet, cut round the edges. I just use a nail board for this, so you can actually rough this up a little bit if you want. Then what I'm going to do is, with my ink pad, just edge this one as well. This helps obviously when you've got other things edged in the same colour. It's going to give you that coordinating look. If you think any of this is expensive, like you're thinking, oh, I don't have ink stamps that are labels, mine were 15 years old, and recently I went to a second-hand shop and they happened to have another one, so I picked that up and it was 50p, so under $1. But you could just draw boxes on, you could just cut in the shape of a box. You do not have to have a stamped label on this bit. Obviously the typewriter, just be careful where you buy it from. I've seen them go on eBay from £100 all the way, working all the way down to what I got one for, 20. I've seen one on Facebook Marketplace since I bought mine that's 20 or negotiable, open to offers. You should be able to pick one up at a reasonable price if you are willing to wait and hunt around. If you want a typewriter, I just think it saves me the cost in printer cartridges and digitals of buying somebody else's labels, basically. I looked at the Tim Holtz ones and they're really nice, don't get me wrong, and the others, but it's another added expense, isn't it? And if you buy a machine and can do it yourself, eventually you get your money back by making that saving each time you make your own labels. So it may not be a big saving, but it's a bit of a saving if that's an issue to you. It may not be, and you may be happy to just buy the digitals and print away. But when it costs me £60 to replace my printer cartridge with the genuine, I didn't buy a fake, with the genuine manufacturer, I was thinking, I don't think I want to be using my printer too much. That is working out to be quite expensive. That's £1 an A4 or $1.25, which is what decided me on buying an old typewriter and spending 5 minutes of my time typing up words. Alright, I've done 2 now, so I'm sure you've got the basics of that. Not difficult, as you can see. I will carry on and come back when I've done a few. I've only done 8 of these because I'm running out of this glue now, as well as Pritt Stick. Because I have too many incomplete projects, I thought this time go for a completed project. Therefore, as these are going to be journaling cards, I'm going to turn these over and do the back. And the way I'm going to do the back is I'm going to take some of these scraps that are already here to cover up some of this white area. This doesn't matter, and you will see why in a second. And then I'm going to take a piece of coffee dyed paper. This is some scrap coffee dyed paper, and I'm going to cover it again with this. Again, flatten this, because this you do want them to be able to write on. I'm going to try and get it with as few wrinkles as possible. Now you can see why all my scissors go blunt, because I cut when there's still wet glue on things. Again, a quick ink around the edges. And that's the back of the journaling card. A couple of things before we get going. If you don't have physics revision cards, which I'm not expecting you to have, you can just use normal cardstock, you can use playing cards, you can use cards from old board games that have rules and instructions on, or game cards. The Scotch glue stick has arrived, yay! Now we get to decorate. We are doing scrap bustering, so I have pulled some of the things out of my big scrap box. Only a few things. It hasn't even got it below the level of the box yet. It's still overflowing. I'm not always going to use browns, by the way. I am going to do some in other inks. But for this one, because I just pulled a few things out just to see how it was going to work, I thought, yep, browns will do. These are quite large ovals. So I think what I might do is stamp an image on them, even if I do end up covering up the image. Oh, I've got some of Paris, so let's have a look. What can we put on? Got a Paris stamp, and if we put one there and then we cluster on top of that, it just starts to fill it out a bit. Maybe I should use a script cluster first. In fact, I could just ink up some of this and press it over, because this is like a glue page. Yes, I'm going to do that. Try and get something on there as a background, a backdrop. Just going to fill it all out. There we go. That's rather nice, actually. Good idea, Batman. Let's go for a bit of colour. Yeah, why not? Let's get some blue. See, this is exciting. This is the bit I like, actually. Put Paris there. Doesn't have to be straight, doesn't matter whether it smudges or not. And it's going to smudge because I've lifted it about 600 times now. Okay, and then I think to pick up on that blue, even though this is already edged, I'm going to put some blue around that edge as well. So it's going green, blue, all sorts of colours, because it's mixing with the brown. The card that it's going to go on, we'll just throw some blue on that one as well. Why not? I was going to do this all browns, and now I've introduced blue. That's what I mean. You make decisions on the fly as you go along. These were very, very cheap little ink pads. Big set of colours for hardly anything. They're not super professional ink pads, put it that way. Travel, one from the stamped words earlier, and a little bit of scrap that's torn. And I thought we could layer that like that. Maybe pull that over slightly, so you can see the Paris. Maybe down like this. Paris, yeah, maybe like that. Put the travel up there, maybe. No, travel down. Makes more sense down, doesn't it? Yeah, that's cute. That's cute. Right. Let's see if the glue stick makes my life easier for this bit. Travel and hostel there as the typed words. I feel like it needs a little something there, maybe. Don't know what though. What can we put? What can we put? What have I got? Got a bit of scrap? Or should I get some proper bought stuff out? I have little things here, like little have I got a blue? Bluey. Ah. How about we rip this up a little bit? This was from, I think, AliExpress. Really, really cheap. We're going to stick her down behind this. So let's get a bit of glue stick and just zip that there. Would help if I layered it all up first and then glued it, rather than go, oh, I've changed my mind. I want to put someone in. Right, and then stick that over the top. Probably could have inked that in blue as well, but oh, maybe that would have been too much. And trim that around a bit. I'm not overly keen on that. What can I do about that? Put some pink in. Bit of a note. I know it's a peso, not a euro or a franc, but this is going to be a bit fiddly now. And then where that's gone off the edge, just ink up a bit of blue around there. It doesn't matter that the edging is going all multicoloured in different shades, then that can go on there, but it still needs something else, doesn't it? Some doily, so we could sit it on the doily. That's quite nice. Yeah, quite like that. And then we've got just that there, which I think is okay, to be honest. I don't think you have to do anything. We could try stamping a massive Eiffel Tower underneath it all. Let's try that. I don't think with junk journals perfect stamping is essential. If you can do perfect stamping, that's awesome, but I don't think it's a huge worry if you don't get every single bit of detail. because it's meant to be old and things would get worn. That's how I'm looking at it anyway. Eiffel Tower's probably not going to fit exactly, so let's go with having the top in view. Leaning, it's the Leaning Tower of Paris rather than Pisa, and I've moved it. Awesome, even better. Okay, sort of the Eiffel Tower with blue ink around the edges. It's fine. The doily's going to go over most of that anyway. Yes, it is. Using some scissors that won't cut properly because they're full of glue, we'll just trim down. Have I busted some scraps? Sort of. Sort of. I've used a few scraps. Not perfect, not my favourite, not too bad. I could put a tab top on it. Don't think I've got any made up though. I would have to make one, and I really would want to make one in the same colour that's already ongoing. Let's have a look. I have a blue. Ooh, I have blue cardboard actually. Let's just try and stick this together without me getting too much ink over it. Mission impossible. Where there's no longer any ink. That might help. That might help. That might be the missing factor. That it's inked on one side and not on the other. That might be it. And then can we just carefully get in there? Probably not. No, not really. Maybe sort of. Yeah, sort of. Okay, and then back down this side because I feel like it. Let's go right over the edge of that. Okay, now how do I feel? Oh, it's a bit more coordinated. I'm still not a massive fan of that one, but that doesn't mean not do any more, and it doesn't mean it's not going to get used, because it is. Let's think what we're going to do with the next one, because we have plenty of stuff here. Got a bit of tissue paper that's going spare. Yep. Oh, ooh, ooh. If I pull that too much, I'm going to, yeah, rip it. Still, I do like napkins over things. It's one of my favourite looks, actually. Let's just see if I can do this really, really gently. Because if I don't, it will come off and rip. We do need to do a cluster for it, and we do want it to be travel themed. Right, these are from a video I did the other day, which was how to make your own paper napkins using scissors, basically. And I think I might line the cluster, or have the base of the cluster covered with a bit of this, because I want to use everything I make. Now we've got to do some very, very fancy cutting. Probably not my best idea to keep layering this. I don't know how desks get so chaotic so quickly, but they do. I just need the fancy scissors. I can make a strip with the fancy scissors. Then what can we do? Go along that edge. I'm just working things out on camera actually. I'm going to turn this, halve it, so that glue isn't attaching to whatever I'm doing. Always check your edges, always check your edges, make sure everything's sticking down. I keep edging everything in blue, I am aware of that, but I'm quite enjoying edging everything in blue. So I'm going to edge this in blue. I don't know why I've suddenly gone, ooh, fancy some blue. Not quite sure what's going on with this and why I fancy blue, but I do. What am I actually going to do before I glue anything? What am I actually going to do to make this cluster? Could I have that like it's a belly band? Oh yeah. And then maybe something on top. What would you put on top of that? Probably a piece of ready-made something. What about these little pictures again? Is there a blue something? There's some blue children. Blueberries. They're quite nice, and they've got a fleur-de-lis stamp on them and some butterflies. They don't really go, but I could edge it. I could tear it and edge it. I could fancy cut it and edge it. Kind of works. Yeah, it's all right. Maybe it needs something behind it. I have in my scrap pile, which isn't even torn down, admittedly, this. Could we put this here, like do some tears? I think we could. And then something over here, I think. Maybe. Am I doing too much on one thing? Quite possibly. Maybe just a little ink stamp here in the blue. And edge around the whole thing in blue. Let's just put a little Paris stamp down there. just a little bit of extra. I like that. I like that. Now I'm just going to edge around in the blue. I'm going to continue off camera and I will come back on just to show you the final results. I'm back to show you what I've managed to make. This is number 1. And you can see I try to put detail everywhere because I think it's just nice when you find extra detail. So you can see that's really detailed, but when you turn it over, you still have a little bit of interest even where you're actually going to be journaling. Tiny little details on it. All slightly different styles, different colours, that's fine. It's going to be a junky junk journal because that's what I'm most comfortable with. One I wasn't happy with, so I threw it away. So how many do we have? I think I've got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7's not bad, to be fair. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, do all the nice things to help boost this channel. It's a baby channel, it could do with lots and lots of support. I try to upload at least 1 video a day, so I will see you very, very soon.